Have you ever been betrayed by the people you trusted most? Imagine giving your heart, your work, and your loyalty to a company, only to be stabbed in the back by your best friend and your boyfriend. This isn't just a story about losing everything. This is about rising from the ashes and making the very people who tried to destroy you beg for your help. I was fired on a Tuesday. Not a normal Tuesday, the kind that starts with black coffee, anxious eyes, and your name whispered around the office like a virus. I knew something was off the second I walked in. Slack messages stopped mid-typing. The HR door was half closed. People avoided eye contact. Then I got the email, "Emma, can you step into the conference room?" That email changed my life. I walked in and saw Martin, the VP, sitting across from Gina, the same Gina who borrowed my code for her presentation. The same Gina who used to say we were a team. She couldn't even look me in the eye. "We've received concerns about your recent conduct," Martin started. No preamble. No explanation. "We're terminating your employment, effective immediately." My ears rang. My legs went numb. "Conduct?" I asked. "What conduct?" "Misuse of company resources," Gina said finally, her voice fake calm. "You sent confidential prototypes to your personal email." I froze. That wasn't true. Unless someone sent them from my laptop. My laptop. The one I left unlocked during lunch on Friday. That's when I knew. They set me up. I was fired. Walked out. No time to grab my things. Security escorted me to the elevator like I was a criminal. My team stared but said nothing. Gina stood in the glass window and watched. And smirked. 3 years. I built that project from scratch. The AI prototype that got us Series B funding? Mine. The client that signed for $2 million? I pitched. But it didn't matter. I was out. And it got worse. My LinkedIn was flooded with rumors. Emma was stealing code. HR breach. Don't hire her. And then the final blow. I found out who else was behind it. Jason. My boyfriend. Or so I thought. The guy who held my hand during late-night code reviews. The one I trusted with everything. He ghosted me right after I was fired. I found out later he and Gina were sleeping together for months. And they got me fired to take credit for my project. I lost my job, my relationship, and my reputation. In one day. I had no savings. Rent was due. I was 29, blacklisted in Silicon Valley, crying on my sister's couch eating cold pizza. But what they didn't know is that I still had the real prototype. The one I built quietly at night on my own time. The one they couldn't steal because it was on a separate drive. I called it Mira, an AI-driven HR tool that used machine learning to detect company politics and prevent toxic teams. It could have saved me. I built it to save others. That night, I wiped my tears, opened my laptop, and got to work. No job. No VC. Just me, caffeine, and anger. I coded all night. Slept 3 hours a day. I applied for every freelance gig I could find. I took online surveys to pay for groceries. I built Mira in 4 months. Alone. Then I pitched. And pitched. Investors laughed. "You were fired from your last job?" One of them actually said, "If your product worked, why didn't it save you?" That one hurt, but I kept going. Finally, one angel investor saw it. A woman, ex-HR, who'd been pushed out by her own company. She invested $150,000. I built a tiny team, just 3 developers and a UI/UX intern. We worked in a shared office above a laundromat. Year 1, 2,000 downloads. Then 10,000. Then word of mouth hit LinkedIn. Mira was different. It flagged favoritism, silent sabotage, power imbalances in real time. Startups started using it to clean up toxic management. HR leaders began asking for demos. I still remember the day I got the call. Hi, this is Martin from Amplify Tech. We'd love to schedule a demo of Mira for our HR team. My old company. My hands shook. I booked the demo under a fake name. On the day of the pitch, I walked into their boardroom. In heels. Confident. Successful. Martin's face went pale. Gina blinked like she saw a ghost. Emma? Yes, I said, placing my laptop on the table. Thanks for having me. I demoed the software. Live. In their own system. Mira flagged 12 issues instantly. One of them was potential conflict of interest between team members in senior leadership. It highlighted the relationship between Gina and Jason. Silence. Then the HR director, someone new, said, "We'd like to purchase an enterprise license." That night, I walked out with a $380,000 contract. But that was just step one. 6 months later, Mira was in 200 companies across the US. I hired people who were pushed out unfairly, like I was. We became a home for the underestimated. Jason applied for a job once. No joke. I recognized his resume. Unfortunately, we're moving forward with other candidates, I wrote back. Gina? I saw her on Twitter begging for freelance work after being let go in a company restructure. And Martin? Quietly retired after an internal audit, thanks to Mira. Now, 3 years after I was fired, my company has 60 employees, a $15 million valuation, and we just bought office space, 2 floors above Amplify Tech. Sometimes I see them in the elevator. They don't look at me. I don't need them to. Because when someone asks me, "How did you do it?" I smile and say, "They fired me to silence me. I built something too loud to ignore." And that is how revenge feels when it's wrapped in silence, money, and peace. 3 years ago, they walked me out like a criminal. Today, I own the building they work in. They set me up to fail, but I built something too powerful to ignore. And when people ask me, "How did you survive that?" I don't talk. I show them. Because revenge doesn't always scream. Sometimes it just smiles from the top floor.